All right, y'all, welcome back to Business Casual. I'm here today with Preston, aka Fuzzy on YouTube. You might know him. If you don't know him, go follow him now. He makes really great baseball content. He is quarantined. You're in Cleveland area, right? Is that where you're quarantined right now?
I'm in Las Vegas, so I'm born and raised in Vegas, but my grandfather's from Cleveland, so that's why I'm repping the whole Indians gear. I had no choice, but I'm in Vegas.
Gotcha. What's the strip like right now? Just empty?
It's crazy because like all my parents and all my adult friends, they've never seen it before. The strip is complete. It's a ghost town right now. Like you'll never see it again. Like there's no 5 p.m. traffic. There's no one at the Bellagio looking at the fountains. So if you want to go on a date, Bellagio fountains, no one's there.
Someone's got to be able to get like great pictures, right? You know, when do you ever see the Vegas strip completely empty? You can go out in the middle of the street and take pictures with no tourists and stuff.
Well, someone like you, if you bring a drone down there, you can't get shot. Like an empty strip, you cannot get drone shots of that ever. So if you're bored, come on down.
I might have to drive out there next weekend, see what we can
do
get
it.
into.
It's like 5 hours. It's nothing.
Yeah, I know. I just drove up to Flagstaff the other day. It was like 3.5 hours in the car by the time we stopped, stuff like that. So yeah, Vegas not too much further. What have you been up to since quarantine has started? How long have you been quarantined, by the way?
All right, so here's the thing. As a YouTuber, you kind of live quarantine life for years on end.
That's
so
right.
I've kind of been inside for 2 years now, ever since I quit my real job. But just in terms of not being able to go outside and go to the movie theaters, it's probably been 2 weeks now of just, honestly, I'm getting a little bit of cabin fever of just having to rush to the grocery store, have someone, like you pay someone to go get your groceries. So probably 2 weeks now. And I can't imagine how much longer we're going to have to go through it because it says like April 30th or July 1st, or I don't know what we have as a timeline. But I'm starting to feel a little bit itchy just playing video games and doing my normal life, because even though I have, like, my life didn't change too much, you still can see, like, my entire neighborhood is full of cars. Everyone's home. My internet is slower. And you understand, like, oh, my internet's slower because everyone's home, so they're not getting the coronavirus.
Yeah, it makes sense. What?
Yeah.
Tell people a little bit about what you do on a daily basis anyway, because you mentioned a couple years ago you quit your job, you're doing YouTube full time. Like what kind of content do you make? What does that look like? What is life for a YouTuber like?
So, yeah, I used to work at Apple, and I just got tired of people yelling at me all day. So I said, I'm going to focus on one thing I was good at, and that was baseball. Like, I didn't like practice or anything, so I was better at editing videos and talking about baseball than I was playing. So I started off with MLB The Show, so it's really easy. You just point the camera at yourself, you play the game, you edit it together, and then you upload it. Super easy. And then I started talking about in real life baseball, and then the whole mess of copyright claims started and all of this and that. So I had to try and figure out MLB The Show. Is that the better route? Do I talk about baseball? And I just kind of took it in stride, and I gave a whole lot of money to MLB. Now, luckily, we're on better terms and we're moving in the right direction. But yeah, John Boy and I made MLB a good amount of change. But normal day for me is just waking up, recording a video, whether it's a rant video, an MLB The Show video. I'm usually done by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then the rest of my day is whatever I want to do. So it's kind of nice. It's a whole lot better than getting yelled at over an iPhone.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Especially over something you can't control, right?
Yeah, I remember my last customer, I said, Miss, I work in a mall. Like, I didn't make the phone. Like, what do you want me to do about it? But it was fun. I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's when you know it's time to go.
Yeah.
So you make a lot of different types of content now. You stream a little bit, you talk about video games, you talk about baseball, you talk about you kind of a wide ranging array of content. Has quarantine affected your ability to do any of that types of content, or?
Absolutely not. I think this might sound a little bit weird and maybe a little bit insensitive to say, but I think creators got kind of excited at the idea that kids were home from school, no one's working. If everyone's home, YouTube views are about to go up. But I think it kind of balanced out, because what happened is the behind the scenes is a lot of advertisers are not making as much money. So you might be getting a ton of views, but there's something called CPM. It's how much money you get per 1,000 views. I'm sure Trevor knows all about that now because he's a full-time YouTuber.
That's right.
But it's it's very weird knowing that everyone's home watching videos, but your revenue is cut 60%. So realistically, yeah, we still have a job per se, but we're not making nearly what we did before. So really, everything balances out. It's a weird time. I don't think we'll ever see anything like this ever again. But even as a content creator, life is pretty. It's not as tough, but it's still tough.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen a lot of people going on Instagram Live recently. You got
Yeah.
the ball in a cup challenge. You got guys streaming their workouts from home. You got video games on, going on live. And players have been doing more. I mean, I've seen on ESPN. I think they had actually like basketball players playing live against each other in the day, and like some of this really creative, interesting content that people that are in your space think of this stuff all the time because your job relies on coming up with interesting content, stuff that people would never see. And I think this time period that we're in right now with all the craziness going on outside provides a lot of opportunities in a way for people to get creative with that types of content. What have you been seeing? What have you been consuming as a fan during this time?
Well, I thought was funny is I knew like there was a turning point because we talked to Clev a couple weeks ago and he's like, dude, we don't have time to film anything, blah, blah, blah. And then I see him tweeting, like playing MLB The Show or like doing some vlog channel with Plesac. I'm thinking, there, see, he gets it now. And really all I thought was like, maybe this is a turning point for players to understand, like Joey Gallo streaming Call of Duty. You have Blake Snell always on Twitch and you're always making your YouTube videos. So I'm hoping that this is, I don't think anyone, or at least maybe I could be assuming, I don't think any baseball player went into 2020 thinking, oh, maybe the season's not going to start until September. Not at all. So it's always nice to have that backup plan. Like you got Sincho Chu being a nice guy, donating $1,000 to 190 guys. But not every team has a Sincho Chu. So if you can build your own platform, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, you can even make money on TikTok now. I don't know how you do that, but kids are doing it. So
I don't either.
I think, what happens with that? You get coins or something on TikTok and that turns into money. I don't know. It's super weird, but I think it's awesome that you're kind of setting the precedent that you've been doing this for a while, but now that baseball's not in session and you're technically jobless, if you would have had a secondary platform to make money on, and realistically, like you're Trevor Bauer, you're Mike Clevenger, you don't really need to do much to say, like, this is me, I need to prove myself. You've already proved yourself. So people will come and watch your channel and your views, and in turn, you get basically free money. So I think it's just hopefully an eye-opener to people that it's not just about making the money, it's also about building a platform for when you're not playing baseball. Because I was thinking about it, like when Cliff Lee retired, he didn't tell anyone. He just vanished into the abyss of retirement. Same with Josh Hamilton. And I just wish that these guys would have had channels that even when they retire, they still have a presence online. And that's why I think when baseball is done, Trevor's still going to be online. Mike Clevenger can be online. And I think hopefully with everyone staying home and a lot of free time, they can see that, you know what? Yeah, I'm a baseball player, but what happens if there isn't baseball? What if there's a Corona 2.0? If there's whatever, another strike? So I think it's just hopefully an eye-opener to the players out there that this is something that is right in front of them. All they have to do is get a camera and start posting. Super easy.
Yeah, no, we've talked before about as creators, you want it to be perfect, and so you kind of get lost in the details of like, oh, well, I don't have the camera. It's just an iPhone, so it's not.
You're
that good.
super OCD about that.
I'm super OCD. Like the setup we have right now, I got a Blackmagic camera sitting behind a FaceTime computer with a mic above me and the whole deal. Like I like well-produced content because I started in that realm. I bought a camera for myself to take pictures and I wanted to edit them and I just get competitive. So I see people that make better content than I do visually or like the quality of it. I'm like, oh, I got to get there. Yeah,
but Trevor, he was probing me. He's like, hey, what kind of mic you got? What kind of camera you got?
That's right.
Yeah.
But you come at it from a kind of different perspective of like, you told me this. You're like, dude, you just got to get content up. Just get it up there because people aren't going to notice the little audio blip that you had here or the fact that the camera kind of racked focus over here. Like they want to see people that they follow and people that they know and look up to or whatever are entertained by doing what they do in real life. And I think that's one of the key messages that has to get across to players. Like you said, just set up a camera and do something. You can do stuff that you're already doing. And Blake Snell's a great example, right? Trevor May's a great example. They're already going to play video games.
Right.
So why not just spend an extra 5 or 10 minutes and just make this huge platform for yourself.
Right. I guess the one question I have for you, and this might be maybe too personal, but does it come to a point where it doesn't feel worth it? Because for someone like me, let's say that you make 60 grand in a year, right? Like that's big for a lot of people. But let's say you're making $18 million. Does the idea of starting a channel just become annoying because it doesn't compare to how much you make? Like, do you think that's why you don't have a lot of baseball players or athletes consuming content or making content, because they've already made so much money? It's almost having money is good enough, but growing their channel and growing popularity doesn't mean too much. Like it's not equivalent in terms of is it worth it or not, based on how much time they have with family, friends, everything else in between.
Yeah, it could be, but there's certain things that you can do to make it a lot less time intensive.
Right.
You know, you can get someone to edit the videos for you, or you can just post them up and not really do a whole lot of editing or whatever the case is. But I think there's this perception that all baseball players make a lot of money.
Right.
You know, and that's not true. So if you have someone like, let's say Shane Bieber, right? He's pre-arb, so he's making whatever the Indians want to pay him. So that the minimum basically is $550 or something like that, which is still a good amount of money. But if he's making $60,000 or $100,000 off of YouTube, that's 15-20% of his overall income. You know, and I don't think making that $60,000 to $100,000 off of YouTube is that far of a reach for guys with that platform built already. You know, Shane Bieber, if he has a YouTube channel, especially in the absence of a lot of MLB players having YouTube channels, like these channels would just blow up if it's just him. If he just gets a handheld iPhone thing and just vlogs, like I'm headed to the field and listening to this song today, whatever.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, absolutely. So would millions of baseball fans, and that's I think what fans want to see.
And I think right now it kind of separates like the casual fan and the hardcore fan, because most people just want to see someone catching a baseball and hearing the sound of the ball meeting the glove or ball meeting the barrel of the bat. And I think you guys, there's just the way that you throw the ball, there's the way that you hit the bat, it just sounds different. And I think that we as fans understand that, like when Josh Hamilton hits a ball, it sounds different. When Trevor Bauer throws a fastball, it sounds different in the glove. And I think being able to capture that, whether it's a videographer or just having your iPhone, my most viewed video is with an iPhone 7. So no one has excuses to say that you don't have the best content. Yes, you're going to be, I'm very OCD. I like my content to be very high quality as well. So if I hear a swoosh of wind, I don't want to post a video. And it's like 1% of my video. But I think if we could, as a team, come together and maybe this video can prove that you don't have to have the best stuff. As long as you are just posting and your fans are enjoying it, regardless of if it has the best audio or video quality, it's content nonetheless. And we want to see it from you guys, whether it's Bauer or Shane Bieber. And I think that's really important. And I think that you're leading the charge, and hopefully more people. I would love to see a lot of Trevor Bauers after you. And I'm hoping that you have opened that door, and I think you have. I think it's just, we have to get the mindset that it's not that hard. It might sound like a lot of work, but if you hire an editor, realistically, you record 17 clips, send it to someone, and then you wait for the result, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not that expensive to hire an editor. There's plenty of people that would be out there that would work and do this stuff for even just the opportunity to work with a big leaguer.
They would do it for free.
Pay them $500 a week or whatever the case is, And that makes, guys that are in college and have some time that are really into creative stuff, that are looking to get their start. There's some really talented editors out there that are still kind of going through college and whatnot. And so I think the more that people talk about this and kind of get the idea that, that there are options, that there are things out there that I can do that would lower the barrier of entry and give me still the results that I'm looking for. I think that's super important. And it's one thing we're trying to do with Momentum, is trying to open that kind of educational piece up and tell players about, look, it's really not that hard. You can do it. One thing you mentioned earlier is about the money, and like, do you think it's because the money isn't that significant? But to me, it's not even about the money. It's just about the connection with the fans. Like the more people that I have following me, the more opportunities I have to positively impact on a person-to-person basis. You play on TV and people see you and they like it, but it's kind of nebulous. You don't get that one-on-one interaction where like someone leaves me a comment, I can read it, or someone has a suggestion. Like my best video to date is the Max Kepler video.
Is that? Yeah, that was great. I like that a lot.
I never would have even thought about doing that video, except there was hundreds of fans who were like, "Oh, you got to do the Kepler video," and they're kind of trolling me. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." And so it's this kind of back and forth interaction with the fans, you know, and that's what it's about for me. And that's what I hope it becomes about for other players too, is just, look, you can create a platform, connect with the fans, make a lot of positive impact, and then have a launching pad to do whatever else you want post baseball or during baseball. You know, if you have 5 million Twitter followers, you're in a different category when you talk about, going backstage. You can reach out to someone about backstage passes for your favorite musician, or like it just gives you a wider net of influence that you may not have had otherwise.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand as athletes is you can get paid for Instagram posts, you can get paid for Twitter posts, but I think a lot of companies are starting to hone in on YouTube. And I don't know if you've gotten any opportunities, but there's sponsored content literally everywhere on YouTube. And people don't understand that you can make a video, let's say it gets copyright claimed by MLB. All of my money goes to MLB. But if that video was sponsored, it's still worth it to me. So I think that it's more than just I'm uploading a video, I'm putting ads on it, and then there's that. There's the interacting with fans, like you said. There's the building rapport with fans. Like, it's not just the computer screen, I'm looking at your comment. Like, they feel like you're Trevor Bauer's friend at that point, which is huge. And then they're going to tell their friends. They're going to tell their parents. They're going to tell everyone else. And that's another perception, is hopefully people understand, like, YouTube is not just kids. It's not a platform where you're going to have just 12-year-olds all the time. Like, there are teenagers, adults. It's truly a platform where you can get everyone involved. You can make money. You can grow connections. I never would have thought I'd be talking to Trevor Bauer just because I made YouTube videos. So imagine already having a platform of your size and then adding YouTube to it. I can't imagine the possibilities. Like, if I'm doing what I'm doing, dude, I can't wait to see what you're going through in a year from now, or even in retirement when you have nothing but time to create content.
Yeah. It's been a pretty eye-opening experience how quick it is that you can gain followers and whatnot. And even for minor league guys too, like coming up with a niche of things that you might be able to do to offer some insight to fans. If a minor league guy can make $500 or $1,000 a month on YouTube, that's massive. That's double what he makes.
Huge. You don't have to go to DoorDash.
Season. Yeah, exactly. Hey, so you mentioned earlier that you're in better terms with MLB now. What is, and I know that just from talking to you previously that, you know, you've talked to the guys at MLB and you kind of know them a little bit about some strategy, this, that, and whatever. How open do you think they are to, from your experience with them, to new strategies, new content strategies like this? And what do you think they could be doing as a league right now, creative content-wise, to really engage with the fans that are missing baseball?
It's tough because I've ran so many different ideas in terms of just like going to the MLB studios in New York and brainstorming with them, or doing off-brand things and creating content. But it still comes down to where even today I had 3 videos claimed out of nowhere, and they were manually claimed. And I don't know if that's a robot claiming them. I don't know if that's people bored, or their only job right now is to filter through videos because they're at home during quarantine. So realistically, I almost sometimes feel helpless, even though I'm one of the bigger baseball creators. Dude, if I don't reach out to you, if you didn't reach out to me, there's almost nothing that I can do. Like, when I went to spring training, I didn't get any access to anything. I had to DM Joey Gallo. I'm like, dude, I'm cool with Joey Gallo, but I don't know if he considers me his boy. So it feels weird. Like, hey, can you go tell your staffer to put me on the list? You know what I mean? So I think what I would want, and we've talked about this with John Boy, is there's got to be some sort of affiliate program where we can get in touch with, like, maybe it starts with 10 people. Maybe it's Bauer, John Boy, Fuzzy, and then we kind of lead the charge of, we have you, so we have an actual Major League Baseball player. We have content creators, and we can come up with different series. Like, let's say Bauer reacts to MLB highlights on YouTube, and let's say that we react to highlights from you, Trevor Bauer. And there's so many different ideas, but it all comes down to the big, I don't want to call them bad guys, but there's still that overarching, I don't even know how to really say it, because
it's like a roadblock, right?
It's a roadblock. I feel it's hard to kind of describe how I feel, because I'm making the content that I want, while at the same time I know that I can't make everything that I want, because realistically, if I get claimed, all my money's gone and I just spent 5 hours doing work for nothing. So I think until MLB comes up with some sort of program where you're either A, whitelisted so you can create content and you're not getting claimed, or B, there's some sort of revenue sharing once you do get claimed. Because, dude, I've had, like, if I uploaded a video clip of the Cubs versus the Mets, MLB system looked at an Angels versus Rangers game, and even when I disputed that, like it wasn't even correct, they said, nope, it's still our content, F you. So that's when I was like, that's completely messed up, and it makes me not want to make baseball content. And if you're 12 years old trying to become fuzzy, you can't really do it. I think the number one question I get on a daily basis is, how do I download baseball clips? Are you serious? Like, you can go to NBA and download clips. NFL, you can get clips. If you're telling me that a 12-year-old who really wants to create baseball content has to spend hours figuring out how to download one clip, like, that's their biggest issue, is they think that everyone knows how to do it. It's really, I don't want to use the term boomer, because it's one of those phrases where it's like, but realistically, there's a lot of boomers within MLB, and they're not willing to take that step to reach out to us on a consistent basis to try and change things. Because while they have reached out to myself, it's like they reach out to me and then I never hear from them. Like, did my advice mean anything to you? Did my feedback or time mean anything to you? There's one guy that's really good with it, but there's a disconnect right now in terms of what we need to do going forward, unless there's that one guy that reaches out to us. His name is Will. Shouts out to Will, the one guy that actually has our back. But MLB doesn't care. Like, I feel like Robert Manfred, like, I'm the biggest Indians fan there is. I've never been able to contact them. I just wish that there was some way to bridge that gap. And I don't know if you guys have an idea how we could do that, because realistically, I'm just fuzzy on an island trying my best to get people passionate about baseball. And it comes to a point where it's like, dude, I don't want to ask Trevor Bauer and Joey Gallo through DMs if they can meet up with me to do an interview. Like, it just feels awkward. Like, luckily we have that rapport now, and I took that step. But dude, if you're not me, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. So I just want to break this down for the people that are listening that might not know.
That was a rant, sorry.
What? No, that's great. And I think there's a lot of great YouTube titles that can come out of just that portion of the combo. So I'm excited.
Want me to give you a thumbnail?
There we go. But like, this is how absurd it gets. Let's break this down for a second. So, like, how many views on average would you say that you get per month?
It depends on if I'm talking just, like a normal month, right?
Just a range. It doesn't even have to be a number. Like, are we talking 10 views? Are we talking 10 million views? A billion views? Like, what's the range?
So I would say the peak is someone like John Boy. He's getting like 30 million views a month. But someone like myself, where you have different videos and MLB, you're probably capping out at about 2.5 to 3 million views a month. That's a great month, and you're living life on that. That's the cap. Okay,
so you're at a couple million. My last month, I think I've gotten 360,000. I have to check the metrics. I could be off on this, but let's say you get 3 million views. That's 3 million times that baseball fans tuned in and watched a piece of baseball content. That's right. 3 million opportunities to either make a new fan, a new baseball fan, or to solidify baseball as someone's favorite sport amongst your fans.
Yep.
Your already current fans. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of opportunity for the sport, right? So talking about my channel, because I don't mind sharing, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't mind sharing about kind of how much I make on YouTube. So for that last month, I've made $700 on YouTube. That's it? I think it's like 360,000 opportunities to get in front of baseball fans and create passion about the sport, right?
Right.
If all of my content was game footage and MLB took all of that money, they would make $700. What is $700 to MLB in exchange for 360,000 opportunities to put baseball in front of fans? And this is what we're arguing about. It makes no sense to me. Like, people aren't making millions and billions of dollars off of using MLB footage for content on YouTube. But you can get millions or billions of views total. I mean, if you're talking John Boy's getting 30 million views a month, expand that out over 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case is. Like, when do they wake up and just say, can we just leave the people alone to make content because that ultimately helps us?
And it's almost, I've never actually thought about that. And it makes me think, does that money from that YouTube account, does it go into escrow to be allocated towards funding some sort of series that they might create? Or is it just going to MLB's pockets, because realistically, it's not just the guys like you and I getting 300,000 views. It's the kid down the street that makes a montage about the best pitchers in baseball, and his 7 views are taken. Like, that's pennies, and they're still taking
literally probably 1 cent. Maybe.
Yeah, like there are videos, because if you make a 10-minute video, you can make more money. So let's say that little Timmy down the street gets 1,000 views and is super pumped about it, just becomes a YouTube partner, he can make some money on it, and YouTube claims that. That's like $5. Where's that money going? Is it in an escrow account to be given to whoever runs the YouTube account? Like, that's something that we've never understood, and I don't know if they are obligated to come clean with that, or again, it's like, where is that YouTube money going? Is it to fund the YouTube TV partnership with Major League Baseball? I mean, realistically, if you had to guess how much they've made just in claim views in 2020, how much do you think they've made? Or actually, let's go back to 2019 when the baseball season was in session. Do you think that we're talking millions?
No.
Because then maybe it becomes worth it to them to copyright claim and somewhat abuse the system, because it's not technically legal.
No, yeah, I would guess that they're sub $500,000 on copyright
claimed.
So? I would guess. I go down the list of baseball creators, and you can go on like NBA creators, you can go on NFL creators. There's footage everywhere, but how many? You could probably list the baseball creators on one hand. I mean, you got yourself, John Boy. You got Draft Neck Mark. You got, I guess, Momentum and me or whatever will tie us up in one. That's 4.
You got Foolish Baseball.
Yeah.
So
5. But you're struggling. So like, if you're going to make $1 million, that means each of those accounts is going to have to make $200,000 a year. I'm not making $200,000 a year. I can tell you that much.
No, neither am I. But you actually brought up, that's the biggest issue, is there's a handful of us, because MLB has had such a tight grip on the. I wouldn't want to call it fear mongering, because again, they're not horrible people at MLB. I don't think that they're intentionally trying to sabotage their own marketing scheme, but it's happening. So at we can call them out, and I don't think that they're going to take offense to it. But the reason why there's only a handful is because my DM is completely full of kids saying, if I upload this video, will my channel get taken down? That's what they've come to, is creators are now afraid to post Major League Baseball content, and that is where they have really messed up. Now, I do give them credit. They did come out with this full-fledged search MLB, like you can search clips on MLB. I don't know what it is, but the problem is you can search it, but you can't download the freaking clips. Like, what's the point of searching for clips if you can't download it? So I think they are making strides, but again, their biggest issue is everyone is afraid of Major League Baseball. That's the gist of it. That's why there was only us 5. Yeah.
No, I literally spent half an hour the other day writing up a document of exactly how to go about downloading clips.
Yep.
Because when I do my Breaking Point series, I have to get the clips, and it probably takes me 2.5 minutes to download a single clip, and that's not including the internet speed to actually download it. It's about how do I even find the clip that I'm looking for? I got to copy that link. I got to go to a third party, clip converter or whatever. I got to click 5 different buttons. I got to download this. Like, you go through. It's ridiculous. I just, it would be nice to see them open it up and just say, here's all the content. Just make cool stuff, because then our product's going to be in front of a lot of different eyes, and I think that'd be way more valuable.
Is that the approach that you would take? So my approach would almost be, let's start a program with a handful of guys and really try and create something that everyone can use. Or would you just say, screw that, we've already wasted so much time, just open the floodgates? And because on that YouTube or that MLB search, there's little options where it can say like embed, put into your blogs. Like, who's making blogs anymore? No one's making blogs. Like, just all you have to do is, like you said, open the floodgates where there's those 3 little dots where you can click, and it usually says download like a normal website. That's all you have to do, right? Just open the floodgates.
I think you combine it. You make an incentive program.
Okay.
And so you say, hey, Fuzzy, we want you to make MLB content on YouTube. We're going to pay you 1 cent per 1,000 or whatever the thing is, right? As an incentive for making content for us. Here's all the content, and put out an incentive for people to make baseball content, right? take a little bit of your money that you make off of wherever else you make it. Let's say you're going to put $1 million into marketing on YouTube. Instead of paying for ads or whatever on someone else's channel, pay Fuzzy $5,000 to make really creative baseball content. You would do that in a heartbeat, because all you want is just the access to the footage. If you're like, oh, I get access to the footage and they're going to pay me to create baseball content, absolutely, I'll sign up for this affiliate program, right? And then you just create, like, how many fuzzies do you create? How many interesting baseball moments do you create?
I know, yeah. And that's where it comes down to where I've thought about this before, and I don't know if I'm lying to myself. Like, am I trying to make baseball content because I love baseball, or is that also that greedy side of me that if I'm not making money on it, I won't post it? Because realistically, I have to understand that it's not my content. It's really not. It is Major League Baseball's when you open up a broadcast. This broadcast is blah, 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 protected by, the whole trademark scheme. So I have to put that into perspective, but I also understand that they don't really promote the game that well, so they should embrace us, and I shouldn't feel like I'm being greedy. I'm doing them a service.
No, but you're not being greedy, because it's not the
I've been called that
itself.
before.
Sure, I see that. But the way I see it is that, like, you're not making money based on putting their footage on YouTube and letting the game play.
Right.
You're taking a specific moment or a specific clip, and then you're making money based on your personality, analyzing or going over or clipping something funny together in a GIF, or like whatever the case is of that content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, they're the ones that filmed it, but you're the one that's putting something on top of it and putting personality behind it, and then that's what you're making your money off of. People aren't going to Fuzzy's YouTube channel to watch baseball. They're going to go to MLB app and deal with the blackouts or whatever the case is, or they're going to go to TV,
Blackouts.
Yeah. They're not going to YouTube to watch baseball on your channel. What they're going is to see Fuzzy, who they like your personality, or they find whatever it is they find attractive about the channel. They're going there to see that, and it just happens to be based around baseball. And this is where I don't think they've caught up on the new age, like where the kids are and what their mindset is. It just
do you think that's what it is? Dude, I've thought about this so often. Like, I get frustrated and almost like, I wish that they would just reach out to me, because it's always the wrong people reaching out to me. It's like, yes, they're affiliated with MLB, but I can't really do much aside from give feedback and hope that they present it to the right people. So what you said is maybe Major League Baseball also has that impression where it's like, you're Fuzzy, they're not going to you to watch baseball, so realistically, we don't need you. So maybe they have that impression as well.
I 100% think they do. But that's the wrong impression to have.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they haven't really caught up with the times. What they need is personalities in baseball. Baseball's so void of personalities. They're like, how many true personalities? Like, what are the biggest personalities in baseball? Give me the top 3 personalities in baseball. Go.
Bryce Harper, Trevor Bauer, Aaron Judge. As big as a baseball fan as I am, like, it kind of gets hard after a few. You have Scherzer's a big one, and I don't know, Juan Soto after last year. That's my top 5.
Perfect. That was a struggle, right?
Yeah.
Now go down.
It
go down
100%
the NBA.
is. Dude, LeBron James, James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, the list can go on.
Steph Curry.
Luka Doncic, Steph Curry. Yeah, I know. And that's the issue.
You just go down the list, right?
Okay, but let me ask you a question. Is it because basketball is cooler, or is it because they have more access to the clips?
It's probably a combination of all of it. It's probably the fact that the league has leaned into getting the clips out there and creating personalities of their players. It's probably that the players feel okay speaking out because the league has cultivated an environment where they are free to do that and encouraged to do that. It's probably because basketball is cooler, but a lot of that is because the league has taken steps to make basketball cool. Right?
Yeah.
They've embraced the sneaker game, the pop culture, the music, the graffiti art, this kind of young groundswell of new fans. They've embraced it. And so it probably is all those, you could pick out and say, oh, it's this or oh, it's that. But it's the fact that the league has opened it up and said, hey, we're going to make our sport cool, and we're going to let people talk about our sport and get our sport in front of as many people as possible, because we know on the back end of that, the more popular our sport is, the better off we're all going to be financially. And then you look at all the basketball players that have media companies. Everybody in the basketball has a media company. Not everybody, but there's so many people with media companies. There's so many people in Hollywood, in movies, in TV shows, in whatever the case is, right? Because it's part of the culture. In baseball, you try to do anything in media, and it's like,
man, this is like, it makes me depressed because I know how hard it was to even have this conversation with you, and I don't think that people have the stamina to do it, because like I was motivated because I hated my job. Like I needed to make a difference. Like I'm not sure if people are going to be able to withstand all the parameters that MLB has in place without us feeling like we have to make a difference. Like, does it feel like it's up to us? Like without us, nothing's going to be done. Like if we don't say anything, do you think that MLB is going to they're going to be content with where they are for the next decade or two? Or do you think that we can actually, I'm asking you an honest question, do you think that we can make a difference if we are persistent? Or do you think that they're still boomerfied and just unwilling to change? Like I don't know if there is something that we can do without them coming to us.
No, I think we can make a change. This is baseball in general.
Yeah.
Broad strokes speaking here, but baseball as an industry does not change until the private sector forces change into baseball. If you look at player development, talk about resources. Each MLB team has infinite resources to develop their players, right? But player development doesn't change until driveline baseball comes along in a tiny little gym in Seattle and starts breaking down what player development is. Baseball has all these resources to hire quantitative analysts, right? But it doesn't happen until someone in Oakland or Bill James writes Moneyball or whatever the case is, right? Like someone outside of baseball kind of forced this idea in, gained enough popular attention that then baseball's like, oh, okay, I guess we'll have to pay attention to this thing. So I think the more John Boys there are, the more Fuzzies, the more Momentums, the more Tim Anderson. Tim's like, look, this is it starting to break. Tim last year had this. Tim went from being relatively unknown in the league. He plays in a small market in the south side of Chicago. The White Sox get dominated media attention-wise by the Cubs, right? Tim Anderson is not widely considered as one of the best shortstops in the league amongst the fans because no one knew he existed. Then he has the bat flip. He leans into it and says, no, I'm going to do that again. I'm not going to apologize for it. Makes shirts out of it. Does it again, gets a lot of media attention, gains a lot of followers, a lot of attention, and then makes a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel's blowing up. In a month, he gained like 12,000 followers or something like that. Like this is the path that players need to go on because now Tim is well known. He's going to be one of the more, he's got more star potential than the vast majority of people just because he's leaned into something with personality. And I think that's really where it's going to go is the more independent people start bringing up this concept of, hey, let's get more personality in the game. Let's really push for it. Let's have you go hang out at spring training and talk to a Michael Lorenzen or talk to a Joey Gallo. Have Momentum go out and do videos on what Derek Dietrich is doing in the offseason and where he buys his chains or whatever the case is, right? Have John Boy reacting to stuff and running his media stuff and get people on the podcast. CC's podcast, getting players to sit there and talk. Like the more outside influences you have that lead baseball in this way of, hey, personality is okay and doing media is okay, that's the only way that MLB is going to see that, oh, okay, that does work. Because they aren't equipped and they aren't ready to just take a blind leap of faith and say, okay, this is going to work, so we'll jump in that direction. They have to see that it's going to work first, which puts them behind at all times. They're behind the NBA, they're behind the NFL. Shoot, the XFL has more trends on Twitter when it launches in its first game or two than MLB does. And
oh yeah, like that's the craziest thing. The fact that the XFL can create more clout, as they say, than MLB can. Mm-hmm. And
it blows my mind.
The thing that just real quick is when I watch YouTube videos, like sometimes you get sucked in the wormhole and you just end up watching random videos. Like people care about Post Malone, the rapper, but then they also care about the jewelry that he's wearing. People like watching Mike Clevenger pitch. They would also love to see why his tattoos mean something to him. They want to see Trevor Bauer. Like, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but that McLaren's a cool car, bro. Like being able to, because you guys are not only talented, but you also have the opportunity to live a life that we would want to see. So you guys can create content in so many different ways, not including baseball. So I think what we can try and do is show baseball like kind of what I had to show MLB The Show. Like, I don't need MLB The Show to be a content creator. What I can do is I can show that I can talk about baseball, and what Trevor Bauer can do is show that, yeah, after baseball, he doesn't have to really talk about, he can talk about cars, he can talk about drones and all these different things. Like, you guys are multifaceted, and I think that's why GQ videos of daily, like you got Post Malone showing off his jewelry, or Kevin Durant opening up his Gucci bag, and literally the thumbnail of Kevin Durant with the Gucci bag is like, wow, I can't afford that, and that's Kevin Durant, I'm gonna click on it. Like, imagine Mike Clevenger with his tats holding his Gucci bag. I'd click on it, and it has nothing to do with baseball. So I think once they get their own head out of their you-know-what and understand that baseball is cool and you guys are making it cool, I think honestly one thing might be the language barrier. Like, as cool as Ronald Acuna is, how many series and content can you make with Ronald Acuna Jr.? You know what I mean? Like, NBA doesn't have that issue. NFL doesn't have that issue. So I think
You should, though, get a Spanish-speaking videographer and then put subtitles on it. There's so many people that would love to know who Jose Ramirez is because he's freaking hilarious. So I'm sure the same thing with Acuna. I'm sure the same thing with a lot of the Latin stars. You have this massive area of the world that all they do is watch baseball, and they want to know more about their players. Like, how hard would it be to have a couple of videographers just pay the Spanish-speaking Fuzzy to make YouTube content with all the Latin guys and all the Spanish speakers? It doesn't make it. And same thing on the Asian side. You know, you got, Yu Darvish and Shohei Ohtani, and like these guys are massive worldwide stars, and they play your sport. How do you not have someone leaning into? Why is Yu Darvish having to make his own YouTube channel? Like, he does a great job with it, but like, why? Like, MLB should like lean into that.
I just don't think that I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I would want to go into that office and take a straw poll, or even just take an average of the age within MLB. Like, I'm not trying to sound like you can't know what's going on in today's time if you're a little older, but it almost seems like MLB is the one entity that isn't willing to try and progress as fast as they can, because they're the ones holding themselves back. They're the only ones that are preventing themselves. And I thought it was crazy how Clev reacted when I said, dude, a week ago, even though Rafael Devers has been playing for 3 or 4 years, I heard him speak for the first time when MLB decided to wire him up. Why is that a thing? I don't watch the Bucks, but I know what Eric Bledsoe sounds like. You know, like, I understand it because they go on Showtime, they have HBO specials, they have in-game interviews. Like, why aren't we miking up guys more? Why aren't we doing post-game interviews and before interviews? And the blackouts don't get me started. That's why I can't see 6 teams in Las Vegas play, so I can't see the post-game interview. If almost said an F word, but you can't say that on YouTube because then they'll get angry on you. But it's like, it's so crazy that there are so many things. We've had a 40-minute conversation, and we haven't even talked about blackouts and how that is ruining baseball. So there's just like, it's more than content creation. It's more than language barriers. I think there are so many bullet points that we have to address as baseball creators to try and promote the game. And I think that while they are helping, we're not getting as much help as we should. And that might sound greedy. That might sound pessimistic. I don't know if I feel entitled. But I've done a lot of work, and I'm just trying to promote the game that we all love. That's my main goal in life, is not to make money, not to live in a mansion, is to make sure that I get as many comments from Brazil and all of these different countries around the world of saying, like, I'm a Cubs fan now, even though I live in France. Like, the fact that I'm streaming at 8 p.m. and you have someone in China watching my video or watching my stream, that's all that matters. And I just hope that one day they can just understand what we're trying to do and not make it so hard for us.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to leave off. There's so many things that are frustrating and so many barriers and whatnot. But we could sit here and rant for hours on end. I don't think anyone on YouTube wants to watch 5 hours of us ranting. So
what do you mean? Joe Rogan's a big thing. He's got 4-hour-long podcasts.
Yeah, but do you watch all the full Joe Rogan podcast, or do you watch the JRE clips that are 7 minutes or 8 minutes?
You're right. You're right. Yeah, I watched the JRE clips. You're right. You got me.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. We'll have to get you back on at some point to go over all the stuff that we didn't get to today. But that's good for today's episode. Appreciate it, and hope quarantine treats you well. And hopefully this is all over soon so we can get back to having baseball.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm getting real fat, so hopefully it's over soon. So thank you, man. Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys. If you haven't already, give me a like, a subscribe, a follow. I guess that's a follow is a subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what
Can
you
I
thought
do
of
this for you? You don't know
yeah.
how to do outros.
I don't. Teach me.
All right, guys, it's been Trevor Bauer and Fuzzy. If you have not subscribed, there's that little red button. If it says subscribe in red, that means you are not a subscriber. Turn on those bells, hit those like buttons, and we'll catch you guys in the next one because Trevor's not done. So make sure you guys sub. You got it? Just be as cringy as possible.
I'm gonna have to study that and repeat it like 5 or 6 times. That's gonna be my new outro.
There we go.
See you guys.